Hello, everyone. I'm really honored to be here at the Science Father Conferences, Events and Awards, March 2025. I'm here to present the topic data mesh, which is a paradigm shift in the enterprise data architecture and going into the direction of the data analytics, data and analytics. Data mesh is a revolutionary approach to managing the data architecture in modern organizations. Unlike the traditional data warehouses and lakes, data mesh is decentralizing the data ownership and emphasizes, the data domain-based architecture and also promotes self-service data democratization or data infrastructure for that matter. This article actually explores, or this presentation explores, the principles, the implementation strategies, limitations, and the transformative role of data mesh in the modern data ecosystems. So, emphasis is placed on its potential and to address the challenges in scalability, governance, and agility in the data-driven organizations. This is the challenge that usually organizations face when they are trying to switch over to newer technologies, and the disruptions do happen. But there is a valid reason and a greater benefit why this particular transformation is happening right now. So before we step on to data mesh and the new technology and the new way of working, why do we need this? What was the need for looking towards this kind of a new direction? What are the challenges that we have with the traditional data architectures? So as you can see, there are several issues, with the current data architectures or with the traditional way of doing it. Scalability issues, centralized systems. Usually, it is all centralized. That all the requirements for analytical requirements they go to the central team, and the central teams often they struggle to efficiently manage the growing data volumes. Also, the that leads to, as you can imagine, performance bottlenecks, which hampers obviously timely decision making. What do we mean by this, right? Centralized systems struggle um, for the growing data volume, but also the centralized teams, they struggle to handle all the requirements that they get from all the different domains. That's where we switch to the next point, expertise gaps. Reliance on a single team for diverse data needs often results in insufficient domain knowledge. Yeah. So we have several domains within the organization: finance, HR, sales, marketing, and procurement, and so on and on. And one big team to fulfill the requirements and the needs of all the different areas of the organization. It's not it's not scalable, and also due to all of this, the scalability and the expertise gaps, we have scenarios where the responses are not as fast as you expect. So that's the result of the centralization, which limits your agility. It also delays, getting access and also to give the responses accordingly. So the next step, the next impact is the lack of due to the lack of domain expertise. The data governance also becomes challenging. Insufficient domain expertise also can lead to poor data governance. So if they are not fully aware of the structure of the data or the way the data comes into the system, or this data integrity gets compromised. Obviously, it is affecting the reliability of the insight. So if someone gets a report from this centralized organization, and when they know that this centralized organization lacks the skill or the capacity or the agility, so the trust on this organization or the deliverable from that organization is not as much as it should be. It is not. It is suboptimal, I would say. We are following up on that, right? The agility and governance issues in the traditional models, centralized delays, as we discussed in decision making, and also the fragmented accountability of data quality, because you can't expect one central team to be having awareness or the deep knowledge of the data that they are working with. They must be doing a wonderful job to the core, I mean to the level that they can, but there always will be kind of, a ceiling that they could hit, yeah, with their knowledge. So that is one thing. They're not into the domain. So with all of this, we do have the resource constraints and innovation stagnation. Obviously, when you have so many bottlenecks with either with the centralized, I mean, with the data decentralized teams, really delaying the data availability, and also the timely decision making is not possible. And you are due to that, the quality of the insights, so the quality of the reports or the analytical assets, the quality deteriorates. And obviously, the innovation would only come in when the operations are, smooth, and when the results that they are delivering or the assets that they are delivering are fulfilling to the business needs. And if they have some more availability or capacity, that's when the innovation also takes off. Yeah. So let's now that we have discussed about all the shortcomings of the traditional way of doing it, let's see how the data mesh is going to solve all these problems or some of the problems. So with the domain-oriented decentralization, we reallocate the data ownership to business units. The people in the business are more accountable now. They have the contextual understanding of the data itself. So if we can enable them to also manage the data more effectively, that would be in line with their business needs. That would be a perfect strategic data ownership shift. Now they will handle the data on their own, and now they do not have any way or reason to blame it on to another central team. So that also helps them to understand the complexity that usually the technical side of the house has. And this brings into the ownership shift, as the headline says. So with that, what do we achieve? We achieve agility through local governance. So instead of passing through multiple layers of the organization, so it is localized. And when it is localized, you already have some kind of agility which would grow up. And so that also brings into more of a collaboration framework. I mean, more of a collaboration happens when you have your ownership of the data, and you also have the agility to play around with the data. And that helps to to go to march towards success. And this is what we are trying to mention here. Implementing federated governance structures ensures that while domain teams operate independently, they adhere to cohesive standards, promoting data interoperability and compliance across the organization. So they have the full ownership, also the full accountability on that. So the key considerations that we have to take into account here: ownership clarity. Establishing clear data ownership enhances the accountability and improves data quality across domains. So, as we just discussed, domain-based ownership. It is not anymore that the business domains are not responsible for the data. They're still responsible, but they also have additional responsibility here. Quality assurance, implementing rigorous quality standards ensures the data products and are reliable and meet users' needs effectively, which is very obvious in this particular scenario. And obviously, it is user-centric approach. Designing data products with user needs in mind promotes discoverability and increases the overall data utilization. The higher the quality of the data product, the easier it is going to be for any kind of self-service scenarios. That's something which we will also cover in the next. So the four principles of data mesh, domain ownership, as we discussed, and also data as a product is something which we discuss. As soon as, I mean, when we have these two, the self-service data infrastructure will be very robust. Yeah. So self-service data infrastructure should be in such a way that, someone looks at the data product, they should be able to digest or the content from that data product. So metadata takes a very high importance here because what you have, the data that you have about the data is very important because somebody is going to use that data product and build their self-service. So they need to know exactly what kind of data is there and what that data means and so on. And that results in a federated computational governance, which we discussed as well. So self-service data infrastructure enhances the domain team's capabilities, allowing them to independently manage the workflows, which leads to faster insights and improved decision making with for the business needs. And with the data products, with the data as a product, that makes it even more um, possible to integrate with the advanced tools, implementing a variety of data tools, including ingestion, processing, visualization platforms, ensuring that the domain teams can efficiently handle data operations, which fosters innovation and responsiveness. So if you have really well-established data products, the business users will be using those data products. The foundation is strong, and it is more about working on the visualization and the actual analytics, doing the predictive analytics or, what the for doing the proper forecast of how the business is evolving and things like that. So that helps the actual analytical things to take off in a very structured way. And then coming to the balancing of the autonomy, the governance. So establishing a federated governance framework is essential. As you can see, there are several approaches to this. And with this, you can see how many different ways you can do the governance. I think the right bottom is the final version of the grained and governed mesh for the so this is as you can see the picture, that is the one which looks very structured and clean. Yeah. So this is where we all want to we all should aspire to be. So this is again the repetition, establishing the federated governance for consistency. So framework for data integrity. Obviously, data integrity is very much important in this particular scenario. The data that you have in the data product should be having the highest integrity because this data product can be used by several other domains, and they can come to some decision making based on that. So the reliability of the data is of very, I mean, it should be at a very high quality. Yeah, the higher the quality, the reliability. The cross-domain committees foster collaboration among teams, enabling the sharing of best practices and insights. This should strengthen the governance policies and promotes a unified approach to data management. I think this is also very critical or crucial. Cross-domain committees, cross-domain collaboration is very important because this is one area that should be paid attention to when we are saying that domain-based ownership. So it shouldn't be like, you're going back to some kind of silos where, the collaboration between the domains is missing. So this is also something which has to continue. And going back to the next. So now that we talked about how the data mesh is different from the traditional one and how we want to handle the domain-based ownership and how we envision all of that, um, there are, of course, some things which are like, especially on the governance side, there are some things which have to be really closely watched when this transformation happens. And how does the future and the impact of the data mesh go in the organizations? So as you can see, this is the kind of a picture. So sales as a domain has several data products, well established and structured and all that. So likewise, services, marketing, operations, human resources, and finance, they have their own data products. And if somebody has to build a derived data product, they would take the data products from these individual domains and combine this. So the purple circle in the middle would be something like a derived data product, which is using data from all these different domains. So empowering the individual business domains to manage their data products enhances scalability by reducing the bottleneck. And that also allows the tailored solutions that meet specific needs and enabling rapid innovation in response to market demands. So the experts who work on the sales and the experts who work on the sale services, respectively, other domains, they are really the experts in the domain. So they have the full in-depth knowledge of what they are working on. And unlike the central teams, which were looking at or taking the requirements from all the different areas of the organization, and they're not necessarily the experts. What are the challenges and the mitigation strategies? So cultural change management. So now there is a big cultural change until the data mesh came in the organization. There was one central team, and all the requirements were pushed to them. And in some ways, it was probably convenient to say, okay, we push the requirement to the central team and we wait. Yeah, but that is not productive for the departments or the organizations. So this is why the data mesh is coming into picture. Now, emphasizing its benefits and securing the leadership support for that cultural shift is very important because that's the change management. Pilot project implementation, I would say it is always good. Like initiate some pilot projects in select domains to validate the data mesh approach, demonstrate its value, and facilitate informed decision making for broader adoption, which I think is not very specific to this particular transition, but any kind of transition, I'd say we should start with the pilot and make it as a proof point and get the buy-in from all the different businesses. So interoperability standards development. So create and enforce clear standards for data formats and APIs to ensure seamless integration and prevent data silos in the decentralized architecture. I think we touched upon that. So cross collaboration between the domains is very important, and also there has to be some common clear standards for all of them. And again, the standards should be easy to understand. It doesn't help if the standards are too complicated. And so the standard should be simple and easy to understand, and that will really help people to implement those standards. So, with all of that said, what is the future? What exploring the future trends and innovations in data mesh, yeah, and ML and integration, which is at the um, which is very important in today's world. Emphasis on standardized APIs and metadata frameworks. This should facilitate the interdomain collaboration and enhance the data sharing, because data sharing is one topic which is going to be very often used. Like when the data products are created in this data mesh architecture, so the data product from sales is required by the finance, and the data products from finance are required. Oh, probably also again with sales, or so with HR or this. So how these things work is they're sharing the data. So HR is developing the data products, finance is developing the data products, and all these business domains are developing the data products, and these data products are shared. And when they're shared, they're used, and when they're used, they're coming to some decisions. So this is very important that the governance on all of these data domains and data products is well structured, and that is also one of the foundations for the AI and ML to work, because these are the things which are going to be automated. I mean, this is why do we have all of this? It's to automate it. And if the machine learning cannot capture the information that it should capture, that means there is something wrong with the metadata, or with the way the data is structured. So next, going to the user-friendly self-service evolution of the self-service data platforms will empower non-technical users with low-code, no-code solutions, democratizing the data access and fostering the innovation within organizations. This is the ultimate goal of all of this, to have self-service. So no business user should be waiting um, to build a report. The data product should be ready, digestible, and the business user should be able to use the data product and build their own solutions as and when they need it. That would help them to go into innovative ways of solving other newer problems or newer issues. So standardized collaboration protocols, yeah. So collaboration is the key between the different domains, and the future data mesh frameworks will leverage AI and ML for enhanced data governance, automating the quality checks and the predictive analytics to improve decision making efficiency. So this is where we all would like to move towards, to use AI and ML for enhanced data governance. That nobody wants to do manual quality checks and fix it. We should be able to train the models to help us to do the um, data quality checks, and that should be automated as much as we can. And that's about it from my side. Thank you very much for listening to me. And if there are any questions, this is the email where you can contact me. And I promise to revert back to you as early as I can. Thank you so much. Bye bye.